everybody? The beginner week is rolling right along. Welcome back. Like I said, this whole week, if you're wondering, yo, if you haven't tuned in, why are we doing all these beginner videos? Well, it's because I launched my beginner guitar course, which is actually going to be closing Sunday. So if you haven't joined it yet, check it out down below. You can see the entire curriculum from that link. And it's 50% off this opening week. So check it out if you're feeling like it, baby. Whoa! And sorry to keep blabbing, but if you have already joined the guitar course, please leave a comment down below with what you think about it. Because, you know, your comment could be the thing that helps someone decide if the course is right or wrong for them. I just want people to join it who are going to benefit. I'm not trying to, you know, trick anybody into joining this thing whenever it would not be beneficial to them at all. So, that's it. So now that that's out of the way, we are back, and I did Van Halen Riffs for beginners, and yo, you knew it was coming. Led Zeppelin Riffs, perfect for beginners. These are even easier than the Van Halen ones. And if you're like me, once I could play some riffs from like truly the people who are inspiring me to play guitar, it was all over. I was hooked for life, and I would spend hours playing this stuff. So I got a bunch of them here. You can snag the tabs down below. We're gonna jump on into this one, and yo, let's just have some fun with it. Woo! Alright, number one, how many more times? Now this one's really cool, and there's one little variation in there that I see people leave out that is in the riff. It's in there, I'm telling you, it's in there. All the riff is almost exactly the same, except the first one is slightly different. Now the riff is all out of this E minor pentatonic thing. It's kind of similar to that Out of Love vibe that we did in the Van Halen video, so if you haven't checked that out, you know, by all means, go get your Van Halen on. But basically the riff is this. That's the note that's different. I see a lot of people not play that, but it's there, I'm telling you. Then he goes to that one for the basically the rest of the time. But all it is you play an open low E string, so like I said, it's all E minor pentatonic. So you're gonna go 7 to 5 on the A, and then 7 on the low E string. So we're basically already halfway through the riff. Okay, now you go back to 5 on the A. So doom, boom, doom, doom, boom. Now here's where this first one's different from all the other ones. It goes, so open low E string again. Now 7 to 5 on the A, and then 7 to 5 on the low E string. I believe this is the only time he plays that 5 on the low E string. So he goes. Okay, now all the rest of the time, what he does is he plays everything exactly the same, but instead of going to 5 on the low E string for that last note, he goes to 5 on the A. So it goes like this. So I'll play the first one, and then I'll play the second one for you. So it goes like this. There it is, that one little change in there. And then he does end with a couple chords. Now the chords, I'm not sure about where he's playing it. It's a D chord and an A chord. You'll see Jimmy do this a lot, you know. And actually you're gonna see it 2 different times in, you know, all these riffs right here. He does it a lot. But it could be going. So just find somewhere that you're gonna go D to A. I don't know this one for sure what Jimmy does, but it's a D to an A, I know that much. And it could be that one, because like I said, he favors this shape a lot. So if it is this one, it's simply 5, 7, 7, 7 on the D, G, and B. So it's a D major chord essentially, but it's like a bar chord, power chord thing. Then he goes to this shape, which is your A chord. Now, like I said, you're going to see this a lot, so get this shape on your fingers. It's basically your F chord moved up. So it's 7 on the D, 6 on the G, and 5 on the B. So I guess it depends on what kind of vibe you want. You know, he could alternate it. You know, Jimmy mixes things up a lot. So there's the first one. How many more times? With a purple umbrella and a fantasy hand. Living, loving, MAID. Now, I should be playing this on a 12 string, but I'm going to play it on here, neck position on the old Lester. And it's one of my favorite riffs ever of Led Zeppelin. You know, I know that Jimmy Page and the guys weren't fond of the song, a little bit too poppy, but I love it. It's one of my favorite riffs. Now, the riff is this. Now, it's the same move I was just talking about from How Many More Times, except this time instead of going D to A, he goes A to D. So getting this little shape down is super crucial for this, you know, Page style. Like I said, he does it all the time. So the start of it, I actually had wrong for a really long time. I always went, but he starts with an open. He goes open low E string, and then 5th fret on the low E string. Now it's essentially he's adding this major third in here. Now you go open to 5, then you go 3 on the A to 5 on the low E. 3, 4, 5 on the A after that. So it's a little chromatic run. Open 5, 3, 5, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so now you go to 3rd fret on the low E string. So 3, 3, 3, 5. So you play that three times in a row, but it's all about timing and groove and all of these riffs. He's not just going, you know, that doesn't have any groove to it. But this, so you have 3, 3, 3, 5, 3 on the A. So now you're gonna go 3, 5, 3, 5. So I don't know if he adds the mutes. I've always done it. I think just maybe out of habit. I forgot to go back and listen if he adds the mutes in there. I do it just for like timing and a percussive sound. You know, I do that. You don't have to. Now here he goes. And this is going to be a really good one for beginners because you have to work on rolling your ring finger, which is tough. Rolling your fingers in general is very difficult. But it's something that you can get rather quickly. You know, even though it's a difficult technique, you know, you can grasp it very quickly, which is why I wanted these in here. So it's the same A chord that we did from How Many More Times. 7 on the D, 6 on the G, 5 on the B, that F chord shape. But played up here, it's an A chord. So you play it 3 times. Now all you have to do is roll you basically bar the 7th fret on the D, G, and B with your ring finger. And that is going to give you a D chord, which is what you want. So it's, but in that Jimmy voicing. I gotta tune my guitar after this one. But, so that's that little ending. And if that gives you trouble, just practice just that, you know, on its own. Maybe move it around. Alright, now, as much as I would love to say that Celebration Day is one of my favorite riffs, they're all my favorite riffs. I would have to say it about every single one. But I always loved, there's a lot of riffs in Celebration Day. And one riff really stuck out to me because it's very simple, and yet it's so cool, which is just the whole premises of Jimmy's style. You know, like his riffs are sometimes simple, you know, on the cover, but there's really, really cool things happening inside of it. So when you get past that big intro, which is pretty hard to play because he doesn't play the same thing twice. He's moving all over the place. You come to this riff, and he keeps referencing this. He goes, and if you listen, he adds this really cool vibrato on the end of each note. And the riff, like I said, is very simple. It just goes 3 open on the A string, and he goes to 5, and he bends it up. Almost like out of pitch with the vibrato all of a sudden at the end. It just has this really cool, you know, rub to it, which is like, again, that's just Jimmy's style. He has this rub to the way he plays. So he does that, and then he does the same thing, 3 open on the A, and then he goes to 3rd fret on the low E string and bends it. And Bend the pitch. My fingers keep slipping off the strings. And also, all these bending riffs, God, my calluses have worn off my fingers. Celebration Day. Killer riff, really good one to work on your bending. Dare I say it, my favorite Led Zeppelin album? I don't know. They're all my favorites, just like the riffs. But I really do love Presence. You know, I find it funny that people think that's their worst album. I'm like, oh my God. You know, for this, there's so many good songs on there. It's crazy that people don't like that album as much as the other ones. But anyways, Nobody's Fault but Mine is a killer song. Now, I have seen Jimmy play this a bunch of different ways. So some people might yell at the way I played it in the beginning, like, he bends the note. Well, I've seen him play it bent. I've seen him not bend. I think on the recording, he's not bending the first part, and he's bending the second part. So what I'm talking about is this. There it goes. He has that phaser or flange or whatever it is, which is giving the illusion that those notes are bending. But if you listen, he's hitting these two together. So I don't think he's bending the first part. I think he's sliding. Now the next part, you can clearly hear vibrato. And that part he's definitely bending. But again, live I've seen him bend sometimes and not bend. I don't know. He could be going like that. Who knows? It's Jimmy Page. He does what he wants. So we have that first part, which is basically, you know, we'll exclude the high E string for now, but you're going... So it's 3, open. So 3, pull off, and then you pick open again. Then you go back to 3, and you're going to slide up to 5. Now this is all out of E minor pentatonic, even though he adds a major note here in a second. Okay? Now I said he has effects on, but what you have to get used to is getting that open high E string in there too. Now he goes back to the beginning. But don't do that. Sorry, I told you my fingers are sore, so when I bend up, my fingers are like, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, bend the pitch. But it starts out the same way. So then you play open G. Now you're going to take 2 and I bend it. So I bend up a full step and I add a decently wide vibrato onto it. That's what it sounds like to me. Don't let your fingers slip off like that. Okay, so we have that part. Now this part is 3, open, 3. Then he could slide, he could bend. You know, I bend. So I go 3, bend up to 5, come back down and play it open. So. Now this part here, then he goes back to open, then 2 open on the G, then so it's almost the same pattern, but he's just adding this major third, which is again a very big Page trait. So 2 pull off to 1, then 1 again. And he hits 1 extra one, so it's 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1. So no, I'm sorry. He goes back to 2, not the extra 1. He bends up now. Down to 1. It's the same thing that was in the Van Halen riff video for the beginners, or the solos. So he bends up, lets it release, pulls off to 1, and then 2 on the D. Sorry, this one was a little bit confusing. Definitely reference the tab. Okay? And there's the whole song. The rest of the song, I mean, it's a great jam, you know. It's a good song, man. It's a good song. Alright, now I wanted to end with a song that I have played wrong my entire life. And what's really interesting about it is, you know, I'd watch live videos, but I didn't really pay attention to it. I thought I knew how to play it, and I don't. It's communication breakdown. And it goes back to the thing I said at the very beginning. I don't know why I never thought of it before, but the way Jimmy does those chords, that little rolling thing, that's how he does it. I've always played communication breakdown like this. Or like that, you know, I'm like, that sounds good. It always sounded a little bit different, like I couldn't tell what I was hearing, but I'm like, but those are definitely the chords. Well, I watched a video, a live video that's really good quality of him, and he goes like this. Just like that. I'm like, oh my god, I've been playing it wrong this whole time. So I thought this was really cool. This is going to work on a lot of palm muting, and it's fast. So I think this one might be the most challenging due to the speed, but the overall complexity of it, it's not that crazy, it's just fast. And of course, if you're not used to that move, it's going to be a little bit of a challenge, but like I said, you'll get it. So it starts out by just, you know, a real quick palm muting on the lowest string. I don't know how many he has. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then he goes to this D major kind of power chord, bar chord thing. Shouldn't call it a power chord because it has a third, but whatever. It's 5 on the A, 7 on the D, 7 on the G, and 7 on the B. Okay, now he transitions to the A chord that we talked about before, that F shape. Moving it up here. 7 on the G, or sorry, 7 on the D, 6 on the G, and 5 on the B. So D, G, D. So it's a real quick transition. So if you want something to kind of throw in there, if that's giving you trouble, but you still want to play along with the song, you could, you know, obviously throw in different ones. Like you could just do a D chord down here, A. It's still going to sound overall right, but Jimmy's definitely doing this after I watch that video. Alrighty homies, that is going to be it. Yo, we got the lead out. We're good to go now. If you want to, check out my guitar course while it's still available. You know, I truly appreciate all the support. That is all linked down below in the description. I have one more video coming at you tomorrow on Saturday, and then live streams Saturday night, Sunday night, as the guitar course closes. So I will see you all then. Keep on rocking, homies. Whoop!